you all are so blessed with the children and the presence of all you here today. And this band, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, I'll just share with you, I have 5 daughters, and one of those daughters went to Full Sail and graduated with a degree in filmmaking, and that's where she met her husband and Hunter, and they're living in Los Angeles, and you got Full Sail people up here. These are this is a real deal, by the way. Isn't it awesome? It's a great day, and nothing shall disturb my peace of mind. Together, nothing shall disturb my peace of mind. Oh, really? My wife and I have been doing something different. We normally Aliza and I winter down in Arizona, and we spent about 6 months there. This year we decided we were going to travel around and visit some unity churches. She's written some fantastic books, do a book tour. So I said, I know what? And I've been wanting to buy an RV and a pickup, and we'll travel. And years before, she went, I don't think so. And we did, and we're still together, and we're more in love than we've ever been. And I actually backed the trailer up for the first time yesterday. Praise Jesus. Nothing shall disturb my peace of mind. You know, I ministered the other Unity Church. It was Unity Church of Christianity back in those days, and I was there for 6.5 years. And in 1987, graduating from ministerial school, one of my daughters, who was here this morning actually, her daughter's a student at UCF and a forensic science major. And so anyway, the two of us drove here into Orlando in late June of 87, and I landed here, and mantra, nothing shall disturb my peace of mind. And I decided I better probably figure out where we were financially. I had looked at the financial records of this church, and I knew there was $137,000 in reserve, and I figured, well, you know, there was 15 to 20 people coming to church. I was making a whole $18,000 a year, no benefits, and I said, I can make this work. And I went to the bank, and nobody was really doing much at the church at that time, and I found a strongbox key. Nothing shall disturb my peace of mind. And I went to this bank over here and opened up the box, and I started reading and got informed, and what I found was that $137,000 couldn't be touched because it was collateral on the building that they had bought. And then I literally sat down in a chair, and to keep from throwing up, I put my head... And the banker said, you okay? And I said, oh, just give me a minute. And I realized we had $537.16 in the bank, and that was it. And we had 15 to 30 people coming to church. But my God is an awesome God. And we just kind of plowed through it anyway, because nothing shall take away any peace of mind. It's your choice, because it's an inside job. It is. You know, some days we wake up and we're so grounded, aren't we? And we're so filled with peace, and we have such a sense of joy, and our hearts are open wide. And there was a gentleman who was feeling that, and he was living here in Orlando. This was years ago. And he decided that he would, he was in that space. So, he gets up in the morning, and he's feeling so good about himself, and he goes into the shower. And I don't know about you, but I sound so darn good singing in the shower. Something about the acoustics. And when I'm in a good mood, I sing my favorite songs. Oh, that's what he was doing. He got to the shower, and he wanted to sing his favorite song, and how many of you love the Platters? I love the Platters. He was one of those guys. He's in the shower. Only you can make such a dream come true. Together, only you. You are my destiny. Only you, and you alone can fill me. And he's having a ball singing his favorite tunes until he hears a scream from the front room. I mean, a blood-curdling scream. Living there with his wife, he knew who it was. He didn't know what to do, so he grabbed a towel. He's dripping wet. He puts it around him. He heads into the front room, and his wife is standing on a coffee table, screaming, pointing under the couch. He has no idea what it is. He's just screaming. She's screaming. And so his peace of mind is long gone, and he's going up like he's got his towel wrapped around his hiney there, and he's coming up, he's trying to find out what's under, and they got this beautiful black lab with the coldest nose you've ever seen. And that black nose comes up to see what's going on, puts that nose right there, and he freaks out and passes out. Now, what had happened is there was a frost warning, and they told to bring the plants in, and a big black snake had curled up into that bottom of that, and got out. The wife saw it. She's screaming. Of course, she didn't know what it was, but anyway, she didn't know why he'd passed out, so she doesn't know what else to do except do what? Call 911. 911 get there. They then get him going and put him on a stretcher, and the attendants go to lift him up and walk away, and that black snake comes out. Attendant steps on the snake. They drop him. He breaks his arm. That's my life. You start out, nothing shall disturb my peace of mind today. I'm singing the best song I know to sing. Life is good until something happens. And what we have to do is keep practicing knowing the truth, because what happens is that it's always something outside of ourselves. Whether it's a snake and a screaming wife, whether it's something that happens while you're backing your trailer up that makes you kind of nervous, whatever it is. Things happen. People get sick. People lose jobs. But what we have to always remind ourselves is that it's not out here. It's about what's going on in here. It's that Christ's presence within us that guides us and directs us. And what's so cool about it, I'm seeing it on all your faces. You love being here because you guys are like-minded people that are there to support each other. Sometime when you wake up in the morning and you're not in the best mood, a friend or someone in the church, as you come in, their job is to see the truth for you. To see the truth for you, and you can't. How many times have you not seen the truth for yourself? See it for other people. That's the power of silent unity, by the way. If you don't think you can pray for yourself, okay, until you can figure it out, but you so easily to pray for other people. And so that's the power of silent. We come together to support each other in the awareness of the Christ presence. I come in, I've lost my centeredness, but I come to somebody like Bob, and Bob's standing tall. He knows me for who I am. His Christ presence lifts me up. You know? Johanna, your Christ presence lifts me up. Jack, your Christ presence lifts me up. Oh, by the way, let me just stop on Jack for a minute. The highest honor you can get in the unity movement is the Light of God Expressing Award. It is something given out for unique people who've done tremendous work. This is our recipient in June, by the way. Jack, stand up and just let them know how blessed they are to have you here. Yep. Very cool. So it's that Christ presence that we identify with. When we have that peace of mind, it's that awareness of who we are. When we drop it, isn't it great that the person next to you, someone like Dawn, is standing in it, recognizes it for you, and can lift you up? It's the story of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, 14th chapter, around the 22nd, 23rd verse. The story where, Jesus sends his disciples out onto the lake, onto the sea, and they're out there. He goes to pray and get centered. He comes back late at night, and guess what? He's walking on water. And they're freaking out. They think he's a ghost. They can't figure it out. I mean, I've walked on water many a time, but I was a pastor of Unity Church in Minneapolis. In February, it's a walk in the park. The first thing I did when I got that church said, take me to the lake. I want to walk on the water. But picture that. Picture that scenario, Peter is on the boat too, and they're all freaking out. But Peter says this, Lord, if that be thee, call on me. And Jesus says, come. And he steps out of the boat. He's centered. He's aware of his Christ's presence. He's got the peace that passes all understanding. Steps out onto the water and begins to walk. The water gets a little rough. He gets fearful. And guess what happens when you get fearful? You start forgetting who you are. And he begins to sink. Jesus looks at him and says something like this, ye have little faith. Why are you so afraid? Reaches down, grabs his hand, and then the next passage says, and they return to the boat. And I always thought, in ministerial school, they teach you to read in between passages because that's the power. It takes you here. You have to figure out what happened. How did they get to the boat? How did they get back? There's only three options. Jesus would have scolded him and drug him in the water while he was gagging on the water and said, I don't know what I am. Drag him back to the boat, flopped him in there. The other one, and what he could have done is lowered himself to that place of fear and got down into the water and backstroked in with him and talked to him on the way in. How did they get back to the boat? They both walked back to the boat. It doesn't say it in Scripture, but how else could they have gotten back? Jesus is not about to sink himself down into the water, and he's not going to drag Peter back because he stepped out on faith. He's going to walk with Peter, so he holds his hand together. They walk back on the boat. The point of the story is that you don't have to do this alone, and yet you do it alone, but you don't have to do it alone because there's other people that will lift you up and hold and see the truth for you. I've had so many times in my life when I just seem like I dropped the ball, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to my coach, my mentor. Sometimes it's my wife, and you just realize the truth that will set you free. But it comes from not outside yourself. It comes from the awareness of the Christ presence. And when you're not touched into that Christ presence, by all means, get plugged into someone around you. Someone who can know the truth for you until all of a sudden, and then you'll go do it for another person. You'll know the truth for another person as you'll help them get through a situation that's occurred in their lives. And that's what it's really all about. You've got a great church here. I was here one time many, many, many years ago, and it was James Dillett Freeman was speaking right here as they were dedicating this building. And I believe it was in the around 1999, somewhere in there. And it was brand new and new and exciting, and you guys are doing great, great work here at the church. You got the music put together. You got incredible people. So when you wake up in the morning and somehow you're just feeling a little, even on a Sunday morning when people say, gee, I don't know if I really want to go to church today, that's when you need to go to church. Because somebody's going to be there to help you, or you're going to be there to help someone else to hold that Christ presence. Christ within is your hope of glory. And Aliza's going to come up and talk a little bit about that peace that passes all understanding and how to achieve it.
Is that what I'm going to talk about? Oh, okay. So the question really is, how do you do that? I mean, certainly you can come here, you can't do it alone, you have to do it alone. Those are all paradoxes of spiritual awakening. But when we're looking for that peace, when we're in the peace, like the guy in the shower, he's completely at peace. It's easy then. But when the snake comes out, and when the wife is screaming, and when the husband's backing up the RV trailer, there are other things that show up, right? So the question is, how do we do that? Now, the question used to be, I used to say, like, can you find peace in a world of chaos? We look at today's world, right? We look at the outer world. We look at things going on in the world. We look at nature and the storms and the hurricanes and the floods and the feet of snow in Arizona. We're really glad we're here and not in Arizona this week. Thank you very much. But you'll see all this chaos. And it's so easy to get caught into that chaos, to get reactive into the chaos. We look at the government, we look at the violence, we look at all the things on the news, we look at our CNN news, constantly negative news channel, right? If you watch CNN, pay attention. Is it constantly negative news? Uh-huh. Turn your channel. But how do you do it? So the first question that I really want to present to you today, and I want you to feel into the question. Would it be all right with you if life got easier? Yeah. Now I'm going to ask it again, but this time I want you to feel what happens just in the consideration that it might happen. So notice your body. Would it be all right with you if your life got easier? Right? Because it can be that simple. It can be that simple as falling into ease. That's the name of the first book that I wrote, and it's really around that question. And the subtitle to the book is Release Your Struggle. Let me say that again. Release your struggle and create a life you love. So when we can find the way to fall into peace, when you can find the way to fall out of your reaction to the trauma that's going on in the outer world and land in that place of peace, everything can change. So In unity, we believe that we are humanity and we embrace our humanity and we are divine. We are human beings having a spiritual experience and we are spiritual beings having a human experience. When we take that another layer deeper, what we discover is there's actually two minds in which we can live. Course in Miracles says you can either be in fear or you can be in love, but you can't be in both at the same time. It's basically the same thing. So we have our human mind, which consists of the material world, which is what we can see and taste and make note of. It's the circumstances, the situations, it's life on this planet. That's the material world. In quantum physics, which we're going to talk some about at the workshop a little bit later, it's the world of matter. And the other world, so imagine that your material world, your humanity is a horizontal plane. And yet your spiritual world is a vertical one. So the vertical is when we know that there's only one power and it's God, and we know that we are the Christ in potential, and we know that we are awakening to the truth of that, and we know that we are one with all that is. And in that intersection of the horizontal and the vertical, in that intersection, what we find is oneness. What we find is love. What we find is the peace that does pass all understanding. So if you can only be in one mind at a time, in one emotion, love or fear, at a time, which one do you choose? Which one do you think you should choose? And you feel like choosing when you're sitting in church on Sunday morning, right? Love. Everybody will say love. Say love. Which one is the truth about what you choose 90% of the time? Fear. Now, okay, a lot more of you are going to choose love, but think about it. You can't worry. You can't live in stress. You can't acknowledge the chaos if you're choosing love. It's impossible. Not about judgment, not about guilt. It's about a calling to awareness. Call your awareness to a higher level. I want to share just a quick paragraph out of the second book, which is called Paradox of Awakening, Finding Peace in a World of Chaos. It says, love and oneness cannot coexist with fear or anger. Can't be in the same plane. And love and oneness are always present. At any given moment, we are each vibrating at a certain frequency, and it can only be one frequency. We have absolute control over the frequency from which we vibrate as soon as we take that control back from the unconscious, from the habits of who we are, from the addictions that we have to chaos and stress and overwhelm and anger and fear and blame and shame and all those things. You can't be there and be in the awareness of love at the same time, but love never goes away. So how do you do it? 3-step process. You ready? You want to know? I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to teach you this more thoroughly at the workshop, so I hope you come. I'll talk more about that. So here's the deal. You're walking around. You're in the shower. Everything's lovely. You're singing away, and everything's great. And it's like, and then you hear that scream. And that scream can show up like your wife screaming. It can be a diagnosis. It can be the loss of a job. It can be a breakup. It can be a stock market. It can be money. It can be health. It can be anything. And life gives you something, and you go, I was going to do it in the mic, but that felt a little loud. But I want this to be experiential. So when life happens and you have your immediate reaction, what do? You go, ah! Together. And you go crazy. And you go, what happened to me? And your spouse goes, what happened to you? And you go, ah. No, my husband would never do that. His wife might. But my husband would never. So you notice what you notice. You notice what's going on in your awareness. You notice it. And then you do this incredible, powerful spiritual practice. You ready? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Not in judgment. Not about shaming yourself, but you notice when you're in chaos, when you're like reacting, and you notice it. As soon as you notice, you can stop it. And then you have to pivot. Because the soul can only look in one direction. It can look at the outer and the trauma, or it can look to the inner, which is the vertical, which is spirit, which is God, which is source, which is wisdom. And when you pivot, you can land. Take a breath. Land into that place of peace. That place of peace is the kingdom of heaven. It is the point of intersection between heaven and earth, between spirit and material. It is the point of all wisdom. In that place, you have access to the wisdom of the universe. In that place, you have access to the peace that does pass all understanding. And when you land there first, and you get yourself centered there, and you practice that on a regular basis so that when something does happen, and I'm sorry, I have to promise you, it will happen. Something will happen. Something in the planet will happen. But you'll be prepared. You'll be trained. You'll have the muscles of falling into that place of ease, into that kingdom of God, into a remembering. And when you land there and get centered there, then you'll be able to turn back toward the material and take authentic action that will make a difference for you and for the situation and for the circumstance and for the world. Because the thing is, you're not going to find peace out there by wishing for it. We've been doing that for millennia. How's it working for us? Not so great. But as soon as you find peace within your own heart and soul, you are raised to a new perspective. From that new perspective of the vertical, you will see things you couldn't see before. You will take action that is more authentic and more impactful than you've ever been able to take, and you will see a new pathway. For there is no pathway to peace, but peace is the pathway. Let's take a time of meditation as we begin to integrate. So feel into the question, would it be all right with you if life got easier? And allow yourself to begin to relax. So as you close your outer eyes, feel your soul pivoting from the outer to the inner. Feel your awareness pooling in this present moment. And with each breath, with each exhale, begin to relax. Drop your shoulders. Open your palms. Relax your jaw. And simply let go. Begin to gently fall into that deeper place. Become aware of how your body is supported by the pew. How your feet are connected to the ground, and from the ground to the very earth. Just breathe. Breathe into the recognition that love is present, that you are one, and that in this moment you find peace. The peace that passes all understanding. Continue to open, to fall, to land in this is so much greater than you think, than you know, than your life, than your situation. Surrender into that knowing. And feel your heart opening. Feel your mind quieting. Feel your vibration rising. And as you continue surrendering into love, into oneness, into peace, feel how it embodies you, how it fills you. And feel that love, that oneness, filling this sanctuary, filling this ministry, this center. As you breathe and as you bask and as you continue to open and expand, feel the same love rising up and filling this city and this state and this country. And feel it encircling our globe. Imagine that every single person on this planet might know love today, might be touched and changed at depth by knowing love. Feel into that possibility. For a moment, knowing that you are love and you are one and we are one. Continuing to expand your ability to receive love, to be in peace. Feel the vibration, feel how it feels in your body, and memorize it. Memorize it in your body. Memorize it in your mind. Memorize it in your thoughts. Memorize it in your being, for peace is a choice. And when you know you are loved and you know you are one, it's an easier choice. So as that love has encircled the globe, allow it to come all the way right back around and re-enter your very own heart. Let yourself be touched, be moved, be changed by knowing